Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. The Curse of Oak Island. Gold is recovered at the Money Pit dig, but there's also a major setback. On last night's episode of The Curse of Oak Island, the team uncovered more gold from the spoils from the Money Pit excavation. However, there was also a significant and unexpected setback. Longtime viewers of the show will be used to a fair few failed digs and crushing disappointments at the Money Pit, and unfortunately, last night, there was a bit more of that. But there was also some cause for hope too. The Oak Island team has, once again, found some gold in the Money Pit area, which is getting to be a bit of a habit. But first, the team had to endure some disappointment. It starts to go wrong at the Oak Island Money Pit. The guys had been using a 10-foot steel caisson shaft to dig the TF1 hole at the Money Pit. They thought TF1 was their best bet because earlier in the season, they had recovered metal with traces of gold on it in this area, and samples of underground water had also revealed the presence of gold and silver. Things seemed to be going well. The hammer grab was pulling up plenty of wood, indicating that there were shafts and tunnels buried underneath. The team began to suspect that they were following in the footsteps of previous excavations. There was evidence they were covering the same ground as digs from 1861 and 1909, which gave the guys hope that they were on the right track. Finally, when the hammer grab began hitting off something that was too heavy to lift, they wondered if they had settled just above the chapel vault. This was at a depth of approximately 150 feet, which the guys thought would be a perfect depth for a treasure vault encased in concrete. Sadly, the crew soon determined they weren't hitting up against a vault. Instead, it was most likely bedrock, which meant game over. The hole was a dead end. There was still hope on Oak Island as gold was discovered, but all was not entirely lost as Steve Guptill turned up with a collection of artifacts recovered from the spoils of TF1. He had a fairly large number of metal objects found at a depth between 110 and 130 feet, and Marty Lagina wasted no time in running them through the XRF machine. Lo and behold, two of the objects contained gold. Marty can often be quite pessimistic, but he was full of positive energy last night. Speaking of the gold pieces, he argued the pieces showed they may be getting close to the source of the gold. He explained that the artifacts could be detritus from a real treasure trove, about a foot away. The final task for last night's episode was to convene a meeting of the Fellowship of the Dig in the War Room to decide what to do next. Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse had a clear and succinct plan. He believed that the evidence showed they were super close to the shaft collapse of 1861, but that they had dug a little bit too far west. So Charles's solution was simple. They just need to place the next caisson in the ground a little bit further to the east, specifically over a cluster of old boreholes known as the C1 cluster. It was here that they previously uncovered old wood from the 15th century and metal containing gold. Don't forget, if this doesn't work, they still have two other caisson shafts in reserve. So still plenty of opportunity for success. The Curse of Oak Island. Gold is recovered at the Money Pit dig, but there's also a major setback. The winds whispered ancient secrets across Oak Island, a place where dreams and despair danced in the mist. On this particular morning, the sun rose with a golden promise, casting long shadows over the enigmatic Money Pit. For decades, the Lagina brothers, Rick and Marty, had chased elusive whispers of treasure beneath the island's surface. Today, the island seemed poised to reveal its long-guarded secret, though not without a twist of fate. The crew assembled at the dig site early, the air tinged with excitement and anticipation. Rick, with his weathered face and determined eyes, glanced over at Marty, who was checking the equipment one last time. Their journey had been long, filled with riddles, maps, and countless theories. Yet the promise of gold, actual, tangible gold, had never felt closer. "All right, team," Rick called out, his voice steady but laced with excitement. Today might just be the day we've been waiting for. The massive drilling rig, standing like a sentinel over the money pit, hummed to life. The drill bit began its descent into the earth, each turn bringing the crew closer to the treasure they believed lay hidden below. The Laginas had unearthed many artifacts over the years, but nothing as concrete as gold. Hours passed, each moment heavy with the weight of centuries of hope and despair. The earth reluctantly gave way, yielding broken pieces of wood and hints of something more profound. The crew worked meticulously, extracting core samples and sifting through the debris. Then it happened. "Rick, Marty, you need to see this." Jack Begley's voice, usually calm, was now filled with an edge of excitement that sent a thrill through the team. Everyone gathered around as Jack carefully revealed a chunk of rock. Embedded within it was a glint of yellow, a shimmer unmistakable in its allure. "Gold?" Marty whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief and joy. The word rippled through the team, transforming the atmosphere from one of cautious optimism to sheer exhilaration. Rick's hands trembled as he held the sample, the culmination of years of relentless pursuit. "We've done it," he said, his voice barely more than a breath. "We've found gold in the money pit." Cheers erupted, echoing across the island. The news spread quickly, not just among the crew, but through the channels of communication that connected them to the world. Oak Island had given up one of its secrets, and the dream of buried treasure was no longer just a legend. However, the celebration was short-lived. As the team prepared to continue their excavation, aiming to uncover more of the treasure, a sudden ominous sound reverberated through the ground. The drill shuddered, and the earth beneath them began to shift. Rick's heart sank as he saw the rig wobble precariously. "Shut it down," Marty shouted, his voice cutting through the rising panic. "Shut everything down." The crew scrambled, shutting off the machinery, but the ground continued to tremble. The pit, it seemed, had a life of its own, responding to their intrusion with a force that threatened to undo all their hard work. Suddenly, a section of the pit's wall collapsed, sending a cascade of dirt and debris into the hole. The rig tilted dangerously, its foundation undermined by the shifting earth. The crew backed away, eyes wide with fear and frustration. Rick and Marty stood together, watching helplessly as the pit that had finally yielded gold now seemed to turn against them. It was as if the island itself was warning them, reminding them of the countless lives and fortunes lost in its quest for secrets. "What's happening?" Rick demanded, his voice a mixture of anger and desperation. "We've hit a void," crate tester said, his expression grim. "A cavern or an old tunnel, maybe. The ground's unstable." The setback was devastating. The treasure they had so tantalizingly uncovered was now perilously out of reach, and the integrity of the dig site was compromised. The island, it seemed, was not ready to give up its secrets so easily. The team regrouped, the euphoria of discovery now mingled with the harsh reality of their predicament. They had come so close only to be thwarted by the very ground they had sought to conquer. "We can't give up now," Marty said, his determination undimmed. "We need to stabilize the pit and figure out what we're dealing with." Rick nodded, his resolve as strong as ever. "We'll need to bring in more experts, reinforce the walls, and reevaluate our approach. The gold is there, but we need to be smarter about how we get to it." As the sun set over Oak Island, casting long shadows over the money pit, the team faced the challenge with renewed vigor. They had uncovered gold, a validation of their years of hard work and belief. Yet the island had reminded them that its mysteries were not to be taken lightly. The curse of Oak Island had struck again, offering a tantalizing glimpse of treasure before pulling it back into the depths. But for the Lagina brothers and their dedicated team, the setback was just another chapter in their ongoing quest. The promise of gold had been proven real, and now, armed with knowledge and experience, they were more determined than ever to unlock the full secrets of the money pit. Underneath the island's enigmatic surface, The gold waited, a silent testament to the perseverance and spirit of those who dared to seek it. The journey was far from over, and the Laginas knew that the greatest discoveries often came from the hardest trials. As the crew dispersed for the night, the winds once again whispered across Oak Island, carrying with them the promise of adventure and the ever-present allure of hidden treasure.